All right. Hey, welcome to Win the Day live stream. It is Wednesday morning, which means it's Workshop Wednesday here in February, which is really super cool because we're going to be talking about lead follow up. We work so freaking hard to get these leads, lead gen. We talk about it once in a while around here, even. But yeah, lead gen, it's a thing, especially if you're in sales. So I know that the number one loser of business is a lack of a lead follow-up program. So we got to get on top of that. We got to get on top of it. These random little once in a while type of things, because it's the worst. I know my worst experiences are when I look at a hot sheet and one of the people I was talking to listed with somebody else, and then I go back and check and see what happened, and I have a note that says follow up with so and so, and I forgot. It slipped, and they listed with somebody else. Because remember, it is not their job to remember you. It is your job to remind them that you're out there. It's such a big concept. So Mark Simpson, our one and only Mark Simpson, there's not one and only. If I go to the phone book, there's going to be a lot of Mark Simpsons.
Hey, look, if you go to marksimpson.com, it's a guy in England who's the gay antichrist. So,
well, could be one and the same. We haven't talked in a minute.
Don't go to marksimpson.com. I'm just warning you.
But at any rate, so our real estate aficionado, Mark Simpson here, is going to talk at length here, or at least a little bit, about lead follow-up. And Destiny's going to offer in her thoughts, and Julie, and I'll try to be quiet, but it won't be.
No, this is going to be a group participation, and I've got some basic slides. And when I say basic, I didn't put on anything sexy. They don't look pretty or anything like that. And you can see here, I mean, these are just simple talking points for us to go through. And so I want you, the listener or viewer, I want you to jump in with your questions, your thoughts, your comments. Also, let us know where you're watching from. We want to know because we're getting referrals back and forth. We're able to send referrals. We talk to a lot of people. There are viewers. John, you got a message from somebody out in California whose business is turned around from watching this very show every single day.
Yeah, it's very encouraging. It's cool.
Super encouraging, but it just goes to show that we've got connections all over the world. So I want you to post down in wherever you're following, where you're watching from and where you are and where you're open for business, because we want to send business, and you never know what that connection's worth. A simple post might be worth thousands of dollars because you made a referral connection. So make sure you get over to YouTube, subscribe, like. We got New York City, John Martellotti. So awesome. Yeah, keep us coming here. So John, we talk a whole lot about lead generation. And lead generation is it's like the gas in your car. And I have agents that will sometimes say, I'm too busy, or I've got all this stuff to do. And I want you to imagine you're in your car and you've got to go on a 1,000-mile journey. And as you're going along, you're busy, you're distracted, you're having conversations, you're singing tunes, maybe doing car karaoke or something like that. And you pass the last gas station and your needle's on empty. Has there ever been a car that goes, you're just such a fine person. You know what? I'm just going to give you a break, and I'm just going to let you run on fumes. I'm going to let you go and go and go until the next 500 miles when the next gas station is. No car ever did that, right?
Elon's working on it.
Working on it. Yeah. But the fact of the matter is lead generation is the fuel that keeps us going. And yet many times we fail in the follow-up. We do all this energy of lead generation only to not follow up with the conversations that we have. And we've heard it said, the fortune's in the follow-up. And we're going to talk about how to turn leads into clients and closings, because ultimately we lead generate, lead follow up to go on appointments so that we can negotiate contracts, so that we can get closings. And we do all that through practice, which, little plug, on the 19th, John's going to be leading a role play on scripting. And we do want you to let us know if you'd like.
If you have a script you're struggling with, objection handling or something, let me know.
be sure you handle that. All right. So as we go forward, let's talk about why follow-up is critical. Number one, 80% of sales happen after the 5th contact. Think about that. You make the connection and it's promising. But 80% of the time, that's not going to materialize until you've had 5 contacts. And the reality is 44% of agents stop after just 1 contact.
Can I say something?
Jump in, all of you.
So I know exactly what happens, right? They don't answer on the first time or the lead follow-up or whatever it is. And you feel like you're bombing them, you're bugging them, you're interrupting them. That is a big BS on you. Yes. My experience is this: they will tell you directly, back off, slow down, ease up, leave me the heck alone, right? Your job is to reach out to them and be their lead follow-up program. Don't be your own worst enemy on that.
And here's the thing: is most complaints in real estate is not from over communication, but from lack of communication. So get that out of your brain. And there's another part to that, is that when we have a good conversation, we get a little ping of juice, if you will. The endorphins hit and we go, oh, that feels good. It's a reinforcer. And we almost treat it as if that is the reward itself. And I've known many people who have these great conversations and it's a reinforcement. Oh, that felt good. But they don't follow through with the work. And so they fall through the cracks. It's almost like they counted the deal in the one conversation. So why is it critical? Hey, 80% of the time, it's going to take at least 5 contacts. Now, lead generation without follow-up is just wasted effort. Your greatest expenditure of energy, money, resources is in that very first connection. It takes more energy to get a conversation than to keep it going. And we know that from physics. It takes more energy to get an object moving than to keep it moving. But if you expend all that energy to get the rocket off the launch pad and then you cut it, you've just wasted all your effort.
Hey, Mark, tell me to shut up if I'm going to go into something you're going to talk about in a minute. Here's another thing I notice, especially with my people. We'll give them a lead or they'll get a lead. Somehow a lead will show up in their life and I'll ask them, did you call them? Did you reach out to them? What'd they say? All that stuff, right? Yeah, no answer. Okay, good. When was that? Yesterday. You got to call them in the morning. You got to call them in the afternoon. You got to call them in the early evening. Again, you cannot, well, you may not want to call them 50 times, but you want to talk to them enough or reach out to them enough that
it's like that song, call them in the morning, call them in the evening, call them at supper time. I mean, just constantly, you've got to make that connection.
And here's the thing, when you do and they don't answer, set the appointment. Hey, it's John, Keller Williams Realty's at the beach team. We'd spoke or you reached out or whatever about X. Curious, what's the next step? If I don't hear from you by 2, I'll call you.
Bingo.
Look forward
every
to
conversation. You want to be asking questions in every conversation, because when people are actually interested, you're going to have questions. They're going to have needs.
100%.
And what you need to do is resolve that, serve them, find a way to solve their problem, give them answers to what they need.
Yeah.
And they're not ghosting you, or they're likely not ghosting you. People have busy lives.
They might be sitting on the toilet and not answering you. For that,
you never know. Number of things. Maybe they're in the hospital. Maybe they're having surgery. Maybe, who knows? There's a lot of maybes out there. But this lead might be a top 5 in your life, but you are most likely a number 8 in their top 5. So you just got to stay with it until you get to the point where they're ready.
Well, and here's look, here's the third reason why follow-up is so critical. And clients choose agents who stay in touch and build trust. And a key piece to this, and to John and Julie's point, If they don't answer, leave a voice message and tell them what you're going to do next, then do it. So when you state it and then do it, you're actually building a trust cycle. If you just call back, you're missing an opportunity to build trust, which they said they're going to do it, they do it. They said they're going to do it, they do it. They said they're going to do it, they do it. And then in their mind, they're going, that person, I can bank on their word. They keep their word. So always state it. If you don't get hold of them, leave the message, whether it's a text, and tell them what your next step is, what you're going to do. Do it. That's the follow-up. It's critical. You will build the trust. So 3 reasons. 80% happen on the 5th. Lead generation without follow-up, you've wasted all your effort. And clients are going to choose agents who stay in touch and build trust. So
can I add something real quick? I always, if I'm leaving a voicemail, I always follow up with a text message. I understand how people operate. Lots of people don't like to talk on the phone nowadays. And so sending a text message, 50% of the time I get a quicker reply by text message. So follow up with a text message after your voicemail.
You'll call text.
Here's another good way to go. You're on the voicemail. Hey, it's John, Keller Williams Realty's at the beach, and we had spoke about whatever. You know what? I'm just going to send you a quick email. Go ahead and look for it in your email. Talk to you later. No need to respond to this call. Just check your email.
There you go. And look, if you're
then when it shows up in their email, they know. They're like, oh, yeah, I got a call on that. I wonder what that was. Let me go look and see. And then your email says, call me.
Right? And look, if you are leaving a number to call, state your name, phone number, message, name, phone number at the end. Nothing's worse than, you want to hit it at the beginning. You want to hit it at the end so they don't have to listen back through everything again. Here's the realization. The cost of not following up. Leads go cold quickly. And if it's an internet lead, of course, speed to response matters. But if it's a referral, speed to response matters. You do not know who else they're talking to. You don't know who else they've been referred to. You don't know if they're testing you. So you've got to understand that these will go cold quickly, and they will go to the person who has fought for that business. And
especially these days.
These days, absolutely. People are hungry. And you need a system. Save yourself time, energy, and money is what system stands for. Save yourself time, energy, and money. Leads are going to slip through the cracks without a system. And I'm going to provide at the very end a link to a spreadsheet, a Google sheet that I created with the help of ChatGPT. It's amazing, where it's a simple system. If you don't have a CRM or what have you, you need a system so leads don't slip through the cracks. And really, the difference between a 6-figure agent and a struggling agent is consistent follow-up. When you begin, almost all of your energy is going to be in lead generation, and probably 90% lead generation, 10% lead follow-up. Over time, those should cross where you are just maintaining your pipeline and moving through that, so that your lead generation is to fill up your pipeline again, keep your pipeline topped off. So let's talk about 5 touch points of effective follow-up. 1, if a lead comes in, or if maybe a referral comes in, immediate contact, drop everything. Your first 5 minutes, call, text, email, get on it. Don't put it off. Hey, how many times have y'all heard people say, yeah, I'm going to call them tomorrow, or I'm going to follow up in 2 days?
Yeah, brutal.
Recipe for disaster. Jump on it.
That's one thing that I would say was a key to the success in my first year in real estate is, I didn't know anybody. I wasn't from the area. I had little mnemonic devices to remember what street I was on because I didn't know where I was and we didn't have GPS. But the one thing I did is I covered everybody else's business and all the successful agents, and I did floor time. And most of you guys have never even heard what that is. But I sat in an office and responded to every person who called and everyone who walked in, and I set appointments. And the moment I had anything that was of any value, I was calling that person, following up that person, trying to serve them in any way I could. And in my first year, by doing that, just that, I closed 48 transactions.
There you go. Look, gang, and I'm going to use this, Julie, for open houses. You have the open house. As soon as that open house is over, and if you've got some free time in between, go ahead and text them. Send them a message. Make sure you're making that contact. Don't wait. You know, I had an open house on Saturday and I'm going to wait till Monday. No. When the open house is over, follow up. The next day, send something out. So your 24-hour check-in, personalized follow-up, offer some value. Don't do a week response. Hey, just checking in.
I'm going to jump in on that too. One of the things that I do, and I teach this in my Impossible to Fail class, is when someone checks in at an open house, the moment I get their phone number, it goes into my CRM. My CRM is programmed to 45 minutes later send them a text thanking them for coming to the open house with a link so they can now search the database for MLS through my website to be able to find properties. So it's automated. And the other thing is not if you have time. When you plan an open house, you plan an extra hour after the end of your open house to follow up with every single person that came in, including a video of the property. So you've already followed up with them twice.
I love it. And so once again, that's a system. You have saved yourself time, energy, and money with a system that immediately follows up.
I'm sorry, what'd you say? What is the conversation like, or the message? Follow up? You were at our open house.
Yeah, thank you.
You want to write a check? I have a pen.
So it's just very simple. Thank you for visiting me at the open house and it'll be the address. And then a link, because our MLS, you just can copy the link to an MLS here so that they can go back to that property.
Right.
And then, of course, my contact information and my phone number's on there. And if they had any questions, that'll be separate because this is an automatic follow-up 45 minutes after they check in. And then when I finish my open house, I've created a video that is under 60 seconds, me walking through the open house and again saying thanks for stopping by, and then turning the camera on me and saying Julie Morris, Premier Team. And of course, they already have my phone number. Let me know if I can help you in any way. So they get those two follow-ups by the end of the day.
Julie, who's they? Is it the realtor or the potential buyer? Both? Is it different for each?
Every visitor who comes to an open house. So I capture their phone number.
Same message to realtor as it is to the individual?
No, because if a realtor comes in,
because realtors, I don't do open houses, not because they're not good. It's just,
and realtors
I'm
do
gonna read
come
a
in.
snob.
Yeah, no, and a lot of people have that exact mindset, not knowing that you can get, an average of 10 phone numbers.
But do realtors show up at these? I think realtors go to open houses, right?
Yeah, they do. And generally, if there's someone else there, I will ask them that if someone else is there, that they come back at another time if they're with the client. Yeah. If they're by themselves, I'm happy to have them there because what they look like is competition. But if they're with the client and they're asking me questions, I'm not interested in answering their questions because I'm there to build my
working.
That's the realtor's job. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So
thank you.
That's just the follow-up part of it.
This is very important. And so whether that, think of it as you have a conversation, maybe you're circle dialing and you have a great conversation. Nothing wrong with, as soon as you get off the phone, just sending back a text and saying, hey, it was great to have a conversation with you. Thanks for taking my call. Maybe even have set aside your handwritten note, but then 24 hours, do a personalized follow-up. Offer value. That's the key. 48, 72 hours, provide some market insights, send a video message, weekly follow-ups. To John's point, it's your job to stay top of mind with useful content, not just checking in, useful content and asking the questions, our next step. And then there are those that will fall into long-term nurture. What are your drip campaigns? What are your birthdays? Do you recognize birthdays? Do you recognize holidays? Do you recognize home anniversaries? Your job is to keep them what I call under the heat lamp. You go into some of I'm from Mississippi, so we have lots of gas station food, and the potato logs are under the heat lamps to keep them hot until somebody's ready to buy them. You've got to have your long-term nurture heat lamps to keep them warm and engaged in your world.
You know, Kyle was on here, I don't know, months ago or whatever. I remember this distinctly. He said that he went and took a picture of a house that he showed, and the buyers kind of went cold. And he sent a picture. You still interested in this house? It's still for sale. I thought it was genius.
Mhm.
Yeah, and think of it. You may find another picture of a comparable home
Right.
and say, hey, if this one,
Proactive, baby.
I was just previewing this house. This one, let me know if this might be interested. I can get you in.
Stay in front. Yep. Smart.
So the formula for following up: be persistent, but not pushy. So
You know what the difference between pushy and not pushy is?
what's that?
Value. If you're bringing something that matters, you can talk to them every other minute. If you have something that doesn't matter, you can talk to them every 2 months.
Yeah. And to that point, that the week check-ins, as already mentioned, are just checking in. Well, you're interrupting me. I'm providing value, whether it's market stats, listings, financing options, and it doesn't have to be long. It could be a text. It could be a video with a link. It could be a quick call, but use multiple channels. Use calls, use text, use video, use social media, comment on what they have.
Your words matter. Do not say, hey, I just wanted to follow up. Gross. Nobody cares. You already lost me, right?
Yeah.
I wanted to tell you about. Did you know this? Did you see that? Something.
I saw this and thought of you.
Your words
And
matter.
send that to them. And
And that can be a follow. I'm sorry.
no.
I was going to say that can be a follow-up call on a vendor. You know, it's time to winterize your pool. You know, I know this company. It's just another way to touch. So offering value can be, you know, hey, I've got a handyman. If you ever need any work done on your house, I know you're getting ready to list soon. So
Tell the stories. Hey, I just recently closed on a property and we had some work to do. And I hired the family hired the most amazing handyman that I'm going to be using on all my projects. And I wanted to share that information with you because you may have some things to do around the house. Here's their information. And that's value. And it's telling them, I just closed on a deal and I served my clients at a great level.
Here's a good passive aggressive one. Yeah, I want to make sure I'm not letting anything fall in the cracks, and I want to make sure I didn't miss anything. So let me know, right? Because you know that you're on top of it. It's them that are right.
Yeah. I see so many agents, and Kyle is saying here, tell the stories. How many posts are just closed, holding the keys and things like that? And that's cool for us in the business, but tell the stories of the transaction, the family changed. If you've never looked at it, go and look at the hero's journey. Understand the arc of all great stories. And in the arc of the great stories, there's a hero and there's a guide. And never mistake, you are not the hero, folks. You're the guide. The buyer.
Of course, you're the buyer or the seller, and you're working with me. What?
The buyer and the seller are the hero. They are the ones, the single mom who buys a home to get her kids out of an apartment and into a home. They're the hero. They have saved, they've scrapped, they've repaired their credit. They're now in a new home. They're the hero. You stand there as the guide. Tell the story. Go and look up. You can take the facts of the transaction and say to ChatGPT, help me create a 1-minute video using the hero's journey as a guide to tell the story of this. And it will print out a script for you. And then you just shoot that video, drop that in social media. People will go, I want to be the hero. I want to be the hero.
There's an easy tip on that. Less I, me, and I, we, and get in more you, they, thems. People care about them, less about you, right?
Yeah. So your CRM is your best friend. What's the best CRM? The one you'll use. Track your conversations. Set reminders. As a matter of fact, every conversation, I want you to visualize this. You're standing at a fork in the road. You've just had a conversation. To the left is archive. I don't want to ever talk to them again. To the right is follow-up. Write it down, put it on your calendar, set a task reminder, because if you don't do that, you have chosen the left fork. You have said, I'm going to lose the relationship. Every time you're standing at the fork of the road, delete, or move forward. And if, once again, by default, if you don't set a reminder with a date and a next step for yourself, you have chosen to give that business to somebody else.
Am I the only one that sets all those damn reminders? Next thing I know, I got like 75 reminders going all the time. And pretty soon, like, turn off the damn reminders. This is madness.
It can happen, but this is where we've got to have the system, and part of the system is a calendar. This is my follow-up time every day.
Here's my other question. Y'all like me too? Do you need like two? Like, I have one in my phone and one that I need to look at on the wall. I need a combo. Is that just me?
This is where a good CRM, I would say, John, that we talk about the best CRM is the one you'll use, but there is a level up from that. And that is a CRM that you look at every single day, because you need to be one place. You can't have multiple reminders, because then what happens is you turn them off, you ignore them. You ignore them to the point where it's overwhelming and there's too many, and then you turn them off. And that's why it's important to get a CRM that you actually use religiously, because what you can do is you can set a lot of automatic follow-ups of value, not just, spamming people, where they're getting an update on a weekly basis of changes in the market, where you can automate some of that stuff. Yeah. And that you're giving them access so that they can look up and set their own criteria on search parameters, and you can see when they look. So that's more valuable, but you've got to turn your CRM on every day and look at the tasks and do what the tasks are, there to help you do. Otherwise, you're wasting your time on your CRM, and you're wasting your time kidding yourself that you're going to follow up. I'm going to come back to one of the things that Aaron West said when he was doing the goal writing, and the subconscious mind will fight with what you tell it to do. So when you say, I'm going to work out every single day, and you write that as a goal, your subconscious mind is going to say in the background, you're so full of crap, you can't do that. And so it's going to shut down that reminder. And then those reminders start piling up, and then you just turn them off. So that's where, I say, come back to set realistic goals and use a CRM that you actually follow up each day, or maybe 2 days, and you set your tasks to be on the days that you work. If you work, Tuesday through Saturday, set your tasks for Tuesday through Saturday. If you work Monday through Friday, set your tasks Monday through Friday. If something's going to be due on the days that you're off, set the task reminder to be Friday if you're going to be off Saturday, Sunday. But use your CRM every single day, or you're wasting your time, just like you're wasting your time if you don't follow up.
And look, I used I was the team leader and CEO of Keller Williams office in Mississippi, and I used a Google Sheet as my focus tool, and I recreated one for you. But look, in my world, my listings were agents. And so 2 years in a row, I had 108 and 98 agents that I called them my listings. I took 108 and 98 listings. I didn't have an assistant. I didn't have assistant team leader. Those were my works. And I spent, everything went into my pipeline report, my spreadsheet. It was my focus. And I looked at it probably 6 to 7 times a day. I was always looking at it. What's the next conversation? I spent time in that. And I was always rearranging. All right, that one I thought they were this month, it's going to be next month. And I never let anything fall through the cracks. That's how you do this. So let's talk about the 222 follow-up system. Day 2, call, text, and email. So you've had a great conversation. Day 2, call, text, email. Week 2, provide a relevant market update. Month 2, check in with a soft touch, whether it's home trends, interest rates. These are more, you've made a connection. They may not be ready for your pipeline, but you're going to add value. You've connected now. Call, text, email, provide relevant market update, check in with a soft touch, make sure that your system is in place to remind yourself of everybody that fits here. This is what I'm going to do.
I'm going to push back and say that's not enough. Is that enough, Julie? 222, is that enough?
Minimum.
Day 2, week 2, month 2.
What happened to day 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8?
So this is where, and I don't want to complicate things, but my system, I have ABC and I have pipeline of fire, hot, warm. ABC is is where it's what's their likelihood. My A's are people who already closed or referred with me, and my C's are people who have never closed, and I have a system in between them, go into all of it. And then how hot are they? Are they going to buy the next 30, 60, 90 days, or is it going to be a year? That spaces the follow-up. So this is, if you're treating everyone the same as if you just met them and they said they're going to buy
an internet lead or something. Yeah.
And you have to, that's why you have to have a system of automation so that they stay in the, under that heat lamp, like you say, Mark.
Yeah.
And then there's the ones that you're following up. If they said they're going to buy in the next 30 days, you should be following up every single day.
Here, let me tell you what happens. So on 2 days, you call them on day one, they don't answer. So you're going to follow up 2 days later or the next day or whatever. Or you call the next day and they still don't answer. So now you're off for 2 weeks. What happens if they just happen to be out of pocket for the weekend because they're on a church retreat, or who knows, any number of things, right? Or maybe they're in the hospital with pneumonia and now they're out and they still want to sell or buy.
Well, and that's where those are the ones that are, it's not automated. So you're looking at it, to use Mark's system of spreadsheet, you're looking at it every day and you're deciding, okay, based on my last conversation, text response, email, I got this kind of a response. I'm going to let today go. I'm going to call tomorrow, but you're still saying, hey, this property just came on the market that meets your criteria. I'm going to be going to preview it this afternoon at 2. I can also do it tomorrow at 10. Would you like to meet me there? Those are your hots. Those are your fires. Those are the people who said they're going to buy soon.
And to that point, you should have whether it's weekly emails, your just flow. But when you make a connection, you're dropping them into your flow, but make sure you're still making that personal touch, at least 2 days, 2 weeks, 2 months. And then they're in the flow of your system, whether it's your weekly email, your biweekly email.
These are more touches.
These are touches.
Okay, I got you.
Correct.
Different thing. Okay, good.
You've just made a new contact, and they're not hot, they're not warm.
Yeah, I'm with you.
But don't let them fall through the cracks, because they are a future seller or buyer.
Yeah, just because they're not a fire or a hot, these are the ones that people are more likely to drop, and especially new agents, because new agents are going to focus on the right now person, which is important. But then because they don't have a system of follow-up that's automated, they lose everybody else, because they're not going to go back 30 days, 60 days later and go, curious, are you still looking? Because they're like, oh, I let too much time pass and now you missed it.
So think of every person you meet, because there's two things. We're looking for now business, but we're also building a career, not a year. And every person you meet is like an acre of a new acquired property to farm. And that land, some of it is fertile and rich and ready to go. Some of it needs to be, you've got to clear the debris of past experiences. You've got to go in there and remove weeds. You've got to till, you've got to fertilize, you've got to work the soil, because 5 years from now, it will produce a harvest for you. If you just acquire the acreage and let it go fallow, it will never produce anything for you but thorns, thistles, and dust. If you want a good idea of the time, I'd recommend watching the movie, the Big Little Farm. I think it's on Prime or Netflix. I think it's Prime, about the family that bought the farm. And not literally, they didn't die, but they bought a farm, and they arrived out in California, their life goal. And all of a sudden they realize they've got a dust bowl. They bring in an expert, and he goes, well, the problem is your dirt is dead. And they're like, oh my gosh, we bought a farm and the dirt is dead. And he goes, no, we're going to work on this. And they start doing worm tea and fertilizer and everything. And it just shows the beautiful evolution over 5 years of going from a dust bowl to this rich ecosystem that's producing all kinds of life. And you've got to have a system in place. But when you meet somebody, you've acquired acreage. You could every single day meet one person, and at the end of the year, you have 365 acres that you can begin to cultivate. 2 years, you're over at 730 acres of relationships. You've got to follow up, though. So let's talk about some common objections. I'm not ready to buy yet. Totally understandable. What's your ideal timeline? Don't just go, oh, okay. Totally understandable. And that's 9 out of 10 people are not ready to buy yet or sell yet. Totally understandable. What is your ideal timeline? Just curious. When you do move, when do you think it'll be, or where do you think you'd move to? You hear John say this all the time. Don't stop with the first. It's not an objection. It's just a conversation starting. I'm just looking. Great. Let me send you some market updates so you can stay informed. Just curious.
I would come back to one of John's lines that he says all the time that I think is very disarming.
Hey, good looking.
Yes. One of them is, instead of asking a question that is an indirect objection, or directly answering the question that they objected to, he asks a completely different question. He doesn't say, when are you going to move? He says, if you were to ever move, where would you go next? You're directing them in a different direction, and they're dropping their barrier because they're prepared to say something about the timeline, and you're asking a question that is completely off guard, because everybody knows sooner or later in life it's possible that you're going to move again. Yeah. And they're like, oh, Hawaii, or McCormick Ranch, or whatever. Oh, curious, when would that be? Now
I get a ton that say, I'm going to die in this place.
Yeah.
And I'll be like, really? How you feeling?
Let me check your pulse.
Yeah. How's your health? You working out? Where you at? So,
and I think that totally understandable. If you were to buy, where would you buy? If you were to move, where would you move?
And this comes back to the scripting, and John's a master at it. So anyone who wants one-on-one coaching, remember the 19th. Back to you, Mark.
Yeah. Hey, how many times do we hear this? I already have an agent. Perfect. What's important to you in an agent?
What do you say? I don't remember you.
The key is don't take those initial things and shut down. It's just an opportunity to move forward. And once again, we're going to go on the 19th. We'll get into more of the scripts. Leverage technology. So CRM automation. Julie, you use what? What's your system?
It's called Lofty.
Lofty. All right. There's Follow Up Boss. There's Command if you're at Keller Williams. Follow-up reminders, all generated texts or AI generated text. Have something that you can use.
Start with something free. I would suggest ask your local title rep, ask all the local title reps, call them and say, what do you guys use and what do you sponsor? Because they're all willing to sponsor you. Ask your lender, what would you sponsor? Wise Agent is another one. Sync, CINC, KV Core. There's a whole bunch.
There's a bunch, and you can
don't start with one that's too complicated for where you're at, and start with one that's free so that you can get used to the system and get used to setting up your automated follow-up and getting used to calendaring your follow-up and doing it. So you want to get the habit before you get too complicated with your follow-up system.
So Jesse asks, what do you use or suggest for market updates? Honestly, I like to, if I know where they're looking or I know what they're engaging with, I'll just go into into our MLS and I'll pull up just a few stats. It might be absorption rate. It might be average sales price to list price, and make a few short comments. The key is not to flood them with information. It's just to start a conversation of value.
I would say, Destiny, there's another one. Oh, go ahead, Destiny.
I was going to say, it could even be a simple conversation of, this home just sold in your neighborhood. Would you like to know what that could mean for you and your value? It doesn't have to be a whole graph. Some people aren't into data and graphs and numbers. It could just be a simple conversation like that.
Yes. Don't say yada, yada, yada when yada will work, and keep it short, sweet, simple. Do your video messages. You don't have to have Loom, Bomb or anything else. You can just do it right on your cell phone. Use social media.
I want to come back. Sorry to interrupt, Mark. I want to come back to Jesse's question because there's a valuable app. It's called HomeBot, HOMEBOT. And there are lenders who will partner with you. There is a monthly fee, but I think I pay $26 a month, and the lender pays $26 a month. And I have the most engagement of that of anything, because what people do is they can change the parameters. They put their home in there or their property that they own, and they get regular updates of what the value is in their area and what the trends are. And it's all automated, but they can go in anytime they want and change parameters. I updated my kitchen and they can see the neighborhood and go, and it's very accurate because it uses tax records and MLS to give them value. And I have people all over the country using that, and it's sponsored by me and a lender. So find a lender who will sponsor you, and people will constantly reach out and say, I'd like an update. And they come to you. It's kind of like a reverse marketing tool. So HomeBot, and get a lender sponsor. HOMEBOT.
Perfect. Hey, gang, use social media, but engage with their content. Don't just like, don't just comment, ask questions. Hey, that sounds beautiful. What was the best thing about the vacation? Ask the questions, engage with your prospects, and get you some text scripts, email templates. Use them. You can go into, if you use Gmail, you can actually create some templates that you can use to automatically send out, so you're not writing the same email over and over and over. Prepare for that. All right, few more. First off, set up your CRM reminder for every new lead. And you may be starting off with just task reminders in Gmail. Use a script for initial outreach to avoid hesitation. Once again, 19th, you're going to want to be here. We're going to dig into scripts more. Block at least 30 minutes per day for follow-up calls. Make sure that it's on your calendar, and be consistent. A no today might be a yes in 6 months.
Mark, can I chime in?
Yes, you may.
One common mistake that I made when I first started was thinking, oh, I'll go and set that task later when I'm doing my lead gen. If you get a lead, set it right then and there, because you're not going to go back and do it. And then you've lost that contact, and you'll have a stack of papers and don't know what to do with them. So as soon as you get that lead, set that task to call them back, whatever that looks like.
Look, the weakest link is stronger than the best memory. So
coming back to Destiny real quick, don't we have Destiny next week talking about things that she's learned in her first 2 years? So everybody, if you want to learn a lot, Destiny has just been through everything that we've all experienced at one point or another. So it's fresh in her mind. What would she do different? What has she learned? So be here next
Wednesday.
The 12th.
Workshop Wednesday.
Destiny.
So let's talk about call to action. Who's ready to implement better follow-up system today? Don't put it off. You've got to start today. Now, are you going to perfect it today? No, it's about progression, not perfection, but you got to start today. Go ahead and sit down, set aside 30 minutes and map it out. Map out your view of this is where I'm going. Commit to at least five follow-up calls per day. At least. This isn't lead generation calls, but at least 5. And what do you think are some of the biggest follow-up challenges? And by the way, if you go to bit.ly/real impact tool, yes, you have to capitalize RINT in there, or you can just scan the QR code if you're in front of your computer. This will take you to a quick questionnaire. I'm not going to sell your data. It just lets me know where you're located so I can possibly send you referrals. And if I've got business in your area, I'd love to connect. But go to bit.ly Real Impact Tools. I will see if I can share my screen real quickly and let you know what it is that, so what this is basically, can you see this here? Simple tool that you can use that you'll put in the name. Are they a buyer? Are they a seller? What's their time frame now? 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 4, 5, 6. Your pipeline is you're wanting to think about the people who you've had a two-way conversation with that are going to do business between now and the next 6 months. So if you hit 3 months, you can see now I've got a 3 month where my business is following out. What's the price point? Let's say it's 500,000. There we go. We can begin to see what's the value of my pipeline. If you will build and fill your pipeline for the next to 25 and keep it there, follow up. These are the people you focus on. You're going to want to make sure you know how many nows, 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, and change those dates based on how are we moving through? What notes do I need to make? What are my next steps? Now, everybody else, you can just cultivate. You can put them right down here. If they're not in your CRM, this is a simple tool that you can have in 2 places, but in 1 place, these are my hot pipeline people. I'm going to fill my pipeline to 25. I'm going to know where they are. I can see where my gaps are in my upcoming business. And if you want to use it, great. Just go back to, I'm going to delete this so you don't have to look at that. Stop sharing. Where are we here? Let me come back and I'm going to share that slide one more time. Where was my PowerPoint? Well, look, go to Real Impact. Let's see. Where did I put that?
I love these live presentations.
In the chat, Mark.
Say that again. Oh, here it is. Here we go. We can drop that into the chat as well. It will go, if you'll put it
like a really good tool.
Facebook, I'm going to put it into YouTube, but bit.ly/Real Impact Tool.
Yeah, put it on YouTube. If
I
you
put it on
want to get this tool, you must subscribe. Just kidding.
Well, maybe. All right. What else? Can we start to wrap it up? We're starting to get long in the tooth.
Yes,
I
we
want
are.
to just say something real quick. Don't complicate things. For me right now with transitioning from brokerages, I don't have an active CRM. Siri is my best friend right now. You know, Siri, remind me to call this person. As soon as I take that note, Siri, remind me to call this person at such and such time on such and such date. You know, and so if you don't have all that technology right now, use what you have.
Siri's my only friend. Is that weird?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's not surprising.
Why am I laughing?
All right. Hey, look, the fortune's in the follow-up. We know why we should do it, how we should do it. Now we just got to do it and then do it better. Just it's an improvement. You'll get better. Don't expect to be perfect, but perfect it over time.
Love it. Destiny, final thoughts?
Final thoughts, don't overcomplicate it, but use it. Use what works best for you.
Julie?
I would just say, decide what you want. Do I want to be a successful realtor or do I not? Because if you're not following up, you're deciding that you don't want to be successful as a realtor.
Yeah,
totally. Mark, last thoughts?
Hey, you're worth it. What I would just say is do the work because you're worth it. And it is work, but you are worth it.
Cool. All right. So I'm just going to wrap it up and start with this. Every lead follow-up must start with what's next. Now, if it's an internet lead or something like that, then you got to ask yourself what's next. But if you're talking to somebody and you set an appointment or whatever, make sure you ask what is next, all that stuff, because that's where lead follow-up starts. And then build the habit. Just work hard at building a habit, a routine that you follow up in the morning, you follow up at lunchtime, you follow up in the afternoon, and you follow up in the early evening, right? You don't follow up at the same time, the same people at the same time, because they might be on a different schedule than you and you're just ships passing in the night. Move it around, all right? But you're going to follow up early, midday, mid-afternoon, and then early evening. But move your people around those spots and just get in the habit, get in the routine. Then your CRM, your whatever becomes a tool you go to as a habit. You go to that tool and you start doing it.
I would say pay attention to when people actually respond, answer the phone, respond via text. Notice what medium they use and notice what time. And then make a note to yourself that this generally is the best time to follow up with this person and you'll be more successful.
And when you do follow up and you get an email or a voicemail, you can't ask what's next. You set the appointment. So if I don't hear from you before Thursday at 4, I will call you whatever. And now the expectation, your opportunity, Julie, like you said, this is a chance to right. Here's your chance to build trust or show you're trustworthy or whatever it is. Love it. All right. Here's a chance for y'all to go to work. Let's go to work today and put some of this stuff into action. All right.
Fantastic.
We'll see y'all. Good job, Mark.
Bye.